Have you ever felt that intense wave of anger or frustration and didn't know what to do with it? Maybe you used to pour a drink to cool off or check out completely. But now that you're sober, those emotions can feel more raw, more immediate, and harder to handle. Welcome back to the Quit Drinking Alcohol podcast. I'm Dylan, and I'm here to help you navigate life beyond alcohol with clarity, resilience, and purpose. In our last episode, we talked about FOMO, how to overcome the fear of missing out and reframe sobriety as something you're gaining, not losing. Today, we're going to talk about another powerful emotional experience, anger. We'll explore what anger really is, why it often shows up more intensely in early sobriety, and most importantly, how to process and express anger and frustration in a healthy way without turning back to alcohol. I'll be honest, anger was one of the hardest emotions for me to deal with after I quit drinking. When I was still drinking, I didn't realize how often I used alcohol to numb out frustration. If something annoyed me, I'd drink. If I felt disrespected, I'd drink. If I was mad at myself, you guessed it, I'd drink. But once the alcohol was gone, I had to face those emotions head on, and they came in hot. It was like years of suppressed frustration suddenly had nowhere to go. I didn't always handle it well at first, but over time, I learned how to recognize those feelings, honor them, and express them in ways that didn't cause harm to myself or others. That's what I want to help you do today. Let's talk about why anger and frustration often feel more intense when you quit drinking. The first is sort of obvious. We're no longer numbing it. Alcohol numbs emotional intensity. When you take it away, your emotional system reawakens, and sometimes it overcompensates at first. The other is that our brain is healing. In early sobriety, your brain is still recalibrating its emotional regulation systems. This can mean sharper highs, deeper lows, and more intense emotional swings, including anger. The third is that you're feeling things for the first time in a long time. If you've used alcohol to cope with pain, injustice, or resentment, those emotions might resurface once you're sober. That's not a setback. It's an opportunity to process them in a new way. It's important to remember that anger itself isn't bad. It's a natural human emotion that tells us something feels off, out of alignment, or out of control. The key is learning to respond instead of react. Here are a few strategies to help. One of the most important things that we can do is name the feeling. Before you explode or shut down, pause and identify what you're actually feeling. Is it anger, or is it hurt, shame, or fear? Sometimes anger is just the mask for something deeper. I'd also recommend that you breathe first and respond later. If you feel your heart racing or your fists clenching, take a few deep breaths. Ground yourself. This gives your logical brain time to catch up with your emotional response. Something else that I found very valuable was to move my body. Anger is energy. It wants to go somewhere. Exercise, walking, hitting a punching bag, even cleaning. These are all ways to discharge that energy without hurting yourself or others. I've talked about it before, and I'll talk about it again. Journal it out. Write down exactly what you're feeling and why. Be honest. No one else has to read it. Sometimes just getting it out of your head and onto paper is enough to bring clarity and calm. I've also found it very useful to talk to someone safe. Find a friend, coach, or therapist who won't judge you for being angry. Speaking your truth in a safe space can help you move through it instead of getting stuck in it. And lastly, channel it into purpose. Anger can be a powerful motivator. Let it guide you towards setting boundaries, taking action, or standing up for what matters. Just make sure the direction it takes is constructive, not destructive. Anger is part of the human experience, and feeling it doesn't make you weak or wrong. In fact, learning to sit with anger without numbing it is a huge milestone in recovery. Take a moment to reflect on this question. How do I usually respond to anger? And what's one healthy way I can begin to shift that response? Write it down, talk it out, or just sit with it. Becoming aware of your patterns is the first step in changing them. And every time you respond to anger with intention instead of impulse, you grow stronger in your sobriety. That's it for today's episode. We've talked about the role of anger in sobriety, why it often shows up more intensely in recovery, and how to handle it in ways that support your healing, not sabotage it. Remember, sobriety isn't about being emotionless, it's about learning how to feel and heal without escape. If this episode helped you, consider sharing it with someone who might be struggling with the same emotions. And check the show notes for resources to support emotional regulation and sober living. Thank you for joining me today. In our next episode, we'll be celebrating wins, big and small. We'll talk about sober milestones, why recognizing your progress matters, and how celebration reinforces your motivation. I hope to see you there.